All right, welcome back to another special episode of the Shop Class Podcast. Tonight, we're doing like a product rollout with the OG of the Shop Class Podcast, my former co-host, reigning champion of the Harbor Freight enthusiasm, Mr. Barbercheck. Boom!
Thanks, Ron. I always love your intros.
Hell yeah. All right. So
we're starting a wrestling match.
Yeah. Well, Mark Willie can bring the heat later.
Nice.
So yeah. But we also got Duke. Duke will punch somebody if he has to, you know. So basically this is kind of cool. This is a throwback and a new thing as well. Just so everybody knows, the Shop Class Podcast was started by Matthew Barabercheck and I, Mr. G, Ron Grossinger. We did this, I don't know, we started like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. How long ago?
Yeah, I want to say that. I mean, it seemed like it was a couple years before COVID, and yeah, we should look that up. I mean, the first episode's got its publication date on it. I'm sure we should look that up sometime.
And and it just grew. Lots of really cool people have joined. We've shared ideas. And one of the ideas that kind of has been kind of helped along through that is that Barbercheck wanted to come up with a way to manage projects because, as a shop teacher, you're always on. It's really difficult. You're in a silo. Not a lot of people know, the English teachers, they flip the lights and go home. I'm sure there's more to it that I'm just kind of I'm taking an easy stab at the other teachers. But for our job, we do maintenance equipment. We're the janitors as well. We have to do so many things. And some of the problems you come across is project management. So Barbercheck's trying to address that. And here it is. So Barbercheck, you want to give us like the overview, and then we'll actually go into how to use the site, because tonight Barbercheck's not just showing us, he's actually asking us to use it and to give him feedback so that it develops with shop teachers, by shop teachers, for shop teachers. And then maybe we'll help some other people along the way. All right.
Beautiful.
And shout out to Damien, former student. He's in the house. He just joined in. I think
nice.
He's a 3. Yeah. Damien, how you doing?
Hey, everyone. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
All right. Damien's a former student from a million years ago, and now he's a friend, a lifelong friend, and he does 3D printing, lasers, and all kinds of stuff. So this is cool. We got a lot of good people in the house. All right, so here we go. Matt, you want to kind of give us an overview of this website?
Yeah, so first, I would consider this like a soft launch. We've talked about this idea before, we brainstormed before, and I think I'm at a point where it's a minimum viable product for some of us. And Ron worded it excellently, where it's like it can be by us and for us. So like I'm at the point in the process now where my feedback, I use this in my classroom, my students and I use this, like we use this to test, but it's not sustainable for me to do all of the quality assurance and kind of like prioritization of the different features on my own. And so I've been hesitant to do any sort of launch because I also want it to bring value to anyone I ask to take on the time. And I think I'm at a point. Will it be like completely painless value? I can't promise that yet, but I can guarantee, as Ron's about to find out, and Matt Bloomquist, is he here tonight?
Not yet. He might have a class. I'm not sure.
Okay. Has already found out, like, Matt Bloomquist sent me an audio file. He's like, hey, make this happen. And I sent it right to my developer, already got it to happen. And so Ron's got a file feedback he sent to me, and I'll be able to prioritize and keep polishing things a little bit beyond this minimum viable product in time. But basically, there's kind of 5 goals I'm shooting for here, and we're knocked out 2 of them pretty well. We've got project documentation. And this isn't anything new. Like, you guys are already doing this. You've got project, you've got a Google Slides to go with it, or maybe it's a packet, or maybe it's step-by-step, or however you distribute that information to your students, you're already doing that. And then project distribution is the second kind of objective there. So with project distribution, this is where the digital platform can be a little bit more optimized than some of the other solutions we might be doing, like Packet or whatever else, in the sense that you could make like accommodations for students very discreetly with the way that this can distribute out to students, or you can make like an advanced level and distribute that to students. Also, the manner it's distributed in students is they find the information they need. We've all said watch the video, right? But they don't want to watch the video. They don't want to go to the 3-minute and 35-second timestamp to find the information they need. They just want the information then and there. Well, the way this distributes it is to give them just the information they need then and there when they need it. So project documentation, project distribution, a more advanced feature that will take place, and the framework's already there. Once the project warehouse is populated, would be project curation. So project curation would be Duke gets on and says, hey, I'm just doing middle school projects, and I'm just doing woodworking projects, and I need to emphasize router table. Well, now it's going to generate those projects specifically. Project warehousing is one of the objectives. Project warehousing would be just being able to house your projects and shop your projects, and then able to share our projects there. So what did I say so far? Project documentation, distribution, project warehousing, project curation. And there's 4 of the 5. I'm blanking on the 5th one right now, but it'll come back to me. Right now, we got project documentation and project distribution happening. And what that looks like is you can go to create a project, and I'm working hard. We're not quite there yet. I'm working hard to get it so that you've got this device and you can create a project right here, almost even demonstrate the project, take pictures as in the middle of your demonstration with students, or have students take the pictures. Maybe throw in a few voice to text notes or whatever else. And they've got almost like, you've got all of your demonstration step-by-step, at least a rough draft, already distributed to students during your demonstration.
Can I interrupt you for just a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're looking at this on a website, but from what I could see, and some of the demos and some of the language you're using, it sounds like you got an app as well. Is that right?
That's really the end goal. So it's very browser based right now. That's just the most affordable development to grasp right now with where we're at. But like, so, like some people don't want to put the Facebook app on their phone or the Instagram app on their phone, but you can still get on Instagram because you go to the Chrome or Safari browser and you get on Instagram there. And the mobile browser versions always seem to like leave a little bit to be desired. And that's kind of where we're at. We're kind of in that territory of like not quite fully an app, still browser based, but it's where it's the best kind of affordability point that we can ride right now. And yeah, that's the end goal. I mean, is to have it an app where, yeah, it's right there on your device. You can, whatever process workflow you want to take a picture of as you're going, or a GIF, there's some GIF integration or even small video integration per steps. And then same for the students. So if teachers, if students are using their mobile devices already in the classroom, now students can just get the information they need right there on their screen and good to go. And for teachers who don't like students using devices, you can still, use the school devices as well.
Yeah, and I kind of like that idea that you can run the draft or, just stay one step ahead of the kids type of thing. I do a lot of stuff on the fly, like more than ever. And I empower the kids more than ever. And so I'll ask a kid, I say, hey, I need this thing set up. You know how to do it? Okay, teach these 3 kids. Okay, boom. And a month later, I got 4 kids now that know how to do something. So I'm like, hey, take those 4 kids. I want you to go over here, teach these kids this. And it's like, you got to move at the speed of thought because you have such a short amount of time. And yeah, like if I could set up the lessons, I could even hand the phone to a kid and say, hey, take the phone. Okay, and you see the lesson set up. I want you to document it, put it into here. This is going to be put it into Capable Maker, and then distribute it to this group. And that'll happen like this. And it's so much better, than sitting there and waiting. You're going to have like a candle in the middle of the night. Like, I wonder what my lesson plans will be. Like, we don't have time for that.
That's exactly it. That's been a huge part of my inspiration for this. Is it's like very like almost improvisational style too. A lot of times out of necessity, and it's like, what can I, how optimal can I make this workflow that all of us are doing? All of us have to go through anyways, so that it's minimal price of admission. It's like my end goal is to make it like attractive to use. Like sometimes we kind of enjoy posting an Instagram post, right? We kind of enjoy like even some of the TikToks that are going out there where you're editing and stuff. There's some complex video editing that people are enjoying making on TikTok that on other platforms in previous years would have been tedious. And my end goal here is to make this like as seamless of a process, a good sense of accomplishment, and as enjoyable as possible.
It's funny you mentioned the analogy to TikTok, because one of my students was using it today, and he said, "Yeah, can we use emojis? Because like that's how they talk to each other,
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. But before we get into the weeds, do you think we should just go through a really practical walkthrough of a project and then how?
Let's
because the way my head works, which is different from everybody else's because I'm an alien or something, but I think that some people appreciate the walkthrough steps. Like, okay, do you do this? This is how it mechanically works. The potential of it, that's concepts. We can get into that stuff,
Perfect.
Okay.
No, we're on the same page.
So I have it now. Do you want to use let's use one of yours first, or do we want to use the one I put in?
Use the one you put in.
Okay. So let's click on this, and basically the way I put it in, I could do my part of this presentation. Basically, I went to my projects, and as you see, I only have 3 in there, but that's because if you wanted to populate your projects, you would just go to the project warehouse, and you can filter by tool use. Let's see, is this this looks a little different than today. Is that because of the size? Yeah, that's because of the size of it. Now you can filter by that, or you can put in, let's say, a keyword, and you look down these projects. Now I thought that you'd be able to filter by time and also by all these things here: tools required, prerequisite, plans, supporting material, project theme, duration. Is that right? Or are you limiting? Is this limited?
Well, if you click that filter by tool use drop down.
Okay.
Now you can kind of start getting it to filter by tools. That's not a real practical feature right now, just because there's not enough. There's only like 7 projects that I've uploaded into there. I've had a really hard time simultaneously populating the platform and building the platform. But
mechanically, you would filter by not just tools, but also by prerequisite. Is that right?
Yeah. There's in the more advanced versions, you could set prerequisites for the project, so you can have one project kind of be a feeder project to unlock multiple other projects. The plans and supporting material stuff might kind of fade away, but the project theme, like if you've been on Instructables.com, it would be similar to that. Where on Instructables, it's a bunch of projects for everything from cooking to sewing to metalworking to woodworking, and so we would start theming stuff out in that way. And then duration or time, that needs to be a little bit clarified, but that would be like number of steps. And the steps you'll see kind of nudged into keeping them a somewhat consistent unit as far as complexity goes.
Okay, so let's say you only have a certain number of these tools. These are like check boxes. You could say, well, I have a drill press, and then that pulls up only the projects you could do with a drill press. That's the concept?
That's the concept, yeah, because my frustration with like instructables, or even we've all done the, hey, students, get into the woodworking magazines and find a set of project plans. Well, oftentimes they come to you with something that's cool, active, but it might use a tool that you don't have access to, or like a specialty hardware or whatever else. And so I wanted to nudge my students towards projects that were optimized for our lab space, so we weren't trying to jump over that hurdle all the time. And so that's kind of the intent here. This would be the project curation. When I was talking about the 4 or 5 objectives, this would be, we're going to curate the project. So when Ron Grossinger logs in, in it, really big picture, it's not even going to waste your time, Ron, with projects that don't apply to you. The only projects that are going to cross your screen, unless you choose to jump into the weeds, will be projects like, we know Ron has these tools in his shop. We know his students operate on projects about this difficulty. So these are the ones we're going to suggest, Ron.
Now, okay, I got to call you out on something. Why does it say bandsaw operation for the second option when I don't have that clicked?
Oh, why? Because no, I quit uploading. So I quit requiring the tool upload when you go to create a project. And the reason being is I just want people creating projects. It used to be, yeah. It used to be you go to create a project. The first you had to do a create a project, and we'll go through that process too. Was you had a checklist that check off every tool that's required to make that project.
Okay.
But project curation isn't that.
Go ahead, sorry.
The project curation isn't necessary, since we don't have a largely populated project warehouse. And the minimum viable product form of that project curation is me. And that's the most affordable, is me taking the time. If we start to get a populated project warehouse, I'll manually update everyone's projects to include the tools that are required. So that's probably why it's not doing the thing. And that's why, because on the last few projects I added, I didn't even bother clarifying what tools are required for those projects.
That's okay. Okay, I understand now. So this is beta, everybody. So he's just rolling this out and just getting feedback. Okay, so I'm gonna click on, let's say it's a drill press operation. I already have that one loaded. So let's do bandsaw operation. So I click that one. It's got this GIF going through there, and it tells you the length of the project. I think that's the steps. And
11 steps, yep.
Okay. Here's step 1. But and you can scroll through to the right to see these steps. Now, someone might say, well, I know how to do that. Yeah. But it's so that the kids can manage through this. So what we'll do is we're going to add that project. Okay, it's been successfully added. The little green thing says. Now I can go over to my projects, and I got 4 things in there. And bandsaw operation. Oh, I did that twice. I didn't mean to. I had that in there. So I'll delete one. Okay, I'm going to confirm that it's gone. Okay, so let's go to bandsaw operation. And if you look down in here, I can also edit the project. I can add in words, and I can add in photos. And this is a photo of Barbercheck putting his glasses on. He's a very handsome man. And he's got the GIF going. Then it shows you tying the hairband and, clearing the table and stuff like that. So basic, just to show you the function. Now, if you go over to a student, let's see, not there, here. So let's go
so you
over
want
to
assign that to me, or assign that to Shop Class Podcast.
Okay, so let's assign. So how do I assign it?
The bottom right hand of each of those cards has a little 3-person icon.
All right. Oh, I can assign it to everyone, or I could assign it to Shop Class Podcast. Assign. All right, you've been assigned. And now,
so you'll have to hit refresh because we don't have a notification bell system set up yet. But there you go, on the right hand side where it says in progress projects on your dashboard.
Yep. And there it is. Currently viewing step number 11. Now, that was something that the student noticed, is that it jumps to the last step.
Yeah, I saw that in the feedback, and I'm going to get to the bottom of that. That's
okay. So what I do is I'm going to click on step 1, and here's step 1. Okay, there you are, putting the glasses on, and then we once I'm done with that as a student, I say all these other ones are locked, so like I can't even open these up yet. Okay. Now I'm going to click on this. Hey, I put my glasses on. I'll put some retro glasses on. No, I don't have anything. All right, I'll put the glasses on. Now I got to click on this box, right?
Yep.
Let's see what is going on. All right, I'm having trouble clicking on the box. Okay. They were able to do something similar, so I'm not sure why that's not working. Let's see. All right, it's going to be buggy. It's going to be buggy. Okay, let's skip over to one that works. Let's go back to Capable Maker to my dashboard, and let's go to my projects, and let's put in your drill press operation, and I'll assign it right now. Okay. And then let's go back here, refresh, and go to student projects, dashboard, drill press operation. Again, goes to the last step for some reason. Click on that. And still having the same trouble. Let me try and make this wider. Is that the issue?
That's odd.
All
Yeah,
right.
we haven't ran into that too much yet, but
refresh. I'm going to refresh.
Okay. Because so normally when something like this, and these are all things that, like, if you do this for a living, which I don't, this has been just a side hustle. You would sit down and you'd write down every test case scenario. So like Ron was adjusting the width and different things like that. And so that's their job, is to go through and like actually make sure of that. We're running extremely lean. Like my developers do as much of that as they can, and I do as much of that as they can. But we're both extremely lean operations. And so this type of thing is very easy though. Like this, like all I'll do when we're done with this recording here is I'll send that part to my developers and they'll have it resolved pretty quickly.
Nice. And that was not an issue earlier today. That it worked.
Yeah, I'd seen it kind of before, and I watched you try this and then I click on it and then it works. So I'm not sure why. I'll check on my end because I'm logged in the same account. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe it's because we're both logged in the same account.
Okay, how about this? You want to try it on your end right now?
Yep, it's working. It's working on mine.
Okay, so why don't you present going through that?
Sure.
I'll log out. Maybe you can't be logged in twice.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm
I don't
still
know if
logged
that's it,
in.
but that would be an example of like the test case scenario that has to be shown.
Okay. Go for it.
Okay. So yeah, so let's see. So step 1. Let's see, currently viewing step 2. Oh man, this is kind of
Now, while you're figuring that out, I'll say this: rolling out a product is difficult. There's a lot of bugs like this, man. So appreciate your patience. Okay, are you able to click the second step?
There it says complete. So
okay, so that's working. So wait. So hit pause. So now let me present, and I'll show you've done the first 3, and I can show that on the teacher view.
Yep. And there's a little progress bar for the students going through here. And the image doesn't seem to be updating with each step going through. But I also wonder, I'll be honest, my internet's going nuts right now. I think it's because we got so many people on this call, but which is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, so stop presenting and I'll present.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. And I'll show the teacher view what that looks like right now. And then we can get into how I built another my own project. Okay, so if I would go to drill press operation, I can look at, well, actually, if I go to dashboard, I can see your progress. And that would be right here. So you are 36% through that project.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could also lock you out of, right? I could do teacher permission for some of the things. So you want to explain some of these features?
Yeah, go to create projects and or go to edit one of the existing projects. Go ahead and pick yours because I think the GIFs are causing some lag as well.
Could I see? Okay, well, hold on, let me just see. Oh, edit a project.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
So,
but isn't there a permission on dashboard? Isn't there a permission being weighted? Where do you see your permission weighting? You know what I'm talking about?
are you talking about like when the student completes a step and you want approval?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. Which one of these do we have teacher approval? So I'm just going to show that from the teacher end. But here for the, okay, it should pop up for you now on my drill press project and it's on the dashboard page. So if you hit refresh, what has happened is I just checked off a step that requires teacher approval. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not on the dashboard page. It's on the projects page.
Okay, so I go to my projects. There we go.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking. Pending approvals. So I feel like I wanted to get to that because I feel like if you're in this podcast, you got to be thinking, right, but what if I don't want them to go to head? Or what if I want them to stop at that point? How do I get them to click something and then ask for permission? And that would be what I do because the way I run safety in my room is I literally say you could set up any tool you want. You could do all the steps, but do not pull the trigger or push the button until I see it. That's my safety way. And it's been working good so far. So here it is. They're asking me drill operation in step 1. You added something, right? So you made it simple, but you just click that. And then I say, okay. And I know that student. I say, oh, you're waiting for approval? Okay, cool. Because I kind of have this set up. I like being like an air traffic controller in my room. It's the only way we can get a lot of stuff done. So I hit approved. Okay, and now you're able to go to the next step, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's a nice feature that and it's just to show the mechanics of how this works. Yeah. Okay.
And another thing, if I can just show my screen real quick.
Go for it.
Is I just want to show while it's not glitching out the kind of a prompt that you can include when you're in the middle of the steps. Not only do you have like the teacher verification required, but like right here as I was moving through this drill press thing after step 2, which was place drill bit and chuck, there's always the risk of a kid leaving the chuck key in there and then turning that drill press on, right? So now we've got this question, this multiple choice question popped up, chuck key has been removed. You can make these as surface level or deep as you wanted to, but if you can use Google Forms, you can do this. And so now it just kind of, at this point, if they still leave the chuck key in there, you've got something covering your ass in a way. It's like, no, like it's very, very clear this student was told this piece of information right before they proceeded. So just kind of as a so here's another one where I'm back at teacher approval required, so it's flagged orange, and I'm unable to move on until that is cleared. So I'll give you back the control, the presentation there, Ron.
I didn't know about that because when I created my my project, which is a drill press project, I I didn't know about this multiple choice. That's really a good idea. Our key chuck on this particular drill press is attached to a plug, and that plug just has a loop across, and it's like a lockout. So if you're using the key, the drill press is not operable. Okay?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice feature. However, I have had kids take the drill press, has a prong just like a regular plug, but it doesn't go anywhere, and it plugs in and it has a loop across. I've had them take that and put it in the actual plug for the wall and blow the circuit.
Whoa.
So you'd be surprised what happens.
Yeah.
Creativity is high with the teenagers. Which is great. So having the multiple choice on a step is actually pretty cool. I like that. And do they have to pass it they have to get it right in order to move forward?
I think I kept it really simple. Like, I think it just lets them know if they're wrong.
Okay.
I can't go back now because I've already done it, but I think it just lets them know, nope, that's the wrong answer. Nope, that's the wrong answer. This is the right answer, because I didn't want it to be as redundant as teacher approval. Just a nudge of like, hey, make sure this is a thing, because there's the teacher approval, and you can say multiple choice and teacher approval required on the same step. But part of my inspiration for this was getting the times that a student says Mr. Barbercheck is because they actually need Mr. Because otherwise you're just pinballing all over the place.
Like another question I would ask them is, did you make sure that by hand you had it, square, or, as the jaws get tighter on the three little jaws, as they get tighter on the drill bit, are you square? Because I've had kids put it in there all crooked and tighten up, and then it goes wobbly, and they're like, oh, I wonder what's wrong, So that's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah.
And there it is. You know what I would do for the presentation? Go to the three dots in the corner and blow this up to like 175. Top right, browser type stuff. Just zoom in. Yeah, there we go. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So here you go. Write a question for this one, or I can just get rid of that. Here's your teacher approval requirement when you're creating a project step. And the thing about the drill press, like you were talking about your drill press being different, that's been like part of the reason I want each person to be able to customize this to themselves for their own room, because I've been through enough shop programs to know, like, we're all slightly different breeds. Like, you go from math classroom to math classroom, and they all kind of seem set up the same, but every shop classroom is a little bit different. And so if you add this project and you realize like that doesn't pertain to your particular drill press, when you go to my projects, and I got a bunch in here because I'm constantly testing stuff. Some of these are literally tests, reorder steps with pictures from so you're looking at some of my quality assurance that I'm doing here. But I can make a copy of this if I'm afraid to nuke the other one. Then I can, delete or edit or get rid of some of these steps. Or another thing I can do is I can import steps from other projects. So if it's too much work to edit this, but there is like step whatever makes sense, then I can import steps from the project warehouse. If you've ever done an import on Google Forms, like import questions from Google Forms, I can take a step from my nailing an inch project, which is a pretty lame placeholder right now. So planer operation, something about loose clothing, import that. And then now I basically stole this step from my planer operation. This is something that probably applies to all projects. You're not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah. Now, something I sometimes I just think about what, oh, Joe, thanks a lot. See you later, Joe. Sometimes, okay, we got a question. That's good. Timmy, what do you got?
Now, 2 questions for you, Matt.
Yeah.
I was on some real early development with you, and we went back and forth with some stuff. If I have an account for that, or if somebody did some early testing with that, do those accounts still exist? Or they wiped out?
Pretty much wiped out. There's a
Okay.
chance it might. I create a new one. And when you create a new account, don't worry about using a real email. If you're like me, I'm constantly making a new account. You can put tim@tim.com, and that works. So, and then a lot of times I make the password tim@tim.com.
That's an easy one.
And the students, I say the same thing because it's in its early days. There's no like password reset even yet. It's going to roll out. That's probably within the next month. But we're almost there with it. But I just tell my student, like when my students use it, I just say, just make a new account and call it bob@bob.com and bob.com password. And if you forget that password, just make a new account again. And the only thing it means is when they go to I might have to reassign the project to them, or they might have to recheck off a bunch of steps. But there they are reviewing the content by having to check off the steps. So.
Okay, I was just curious about that. And then number 2 is, say I copy your project from, or I assign one of your projects to my kids, and I go in and is that now going to be like my project, or if I start changing that, it's going to change it for the global community?
Yeah, that's a good question. So right now there's no like cross collaboration that's going to happen officially. You and Ron can't officially share projects together. So it's low risk in the sense that if you want to edit a project, because you can't edit a project that's in the project warehouse till you add it, as I'm doing here, to your projects. Once it's in yours, you can do whatever you want with it, and it's not going to taint or contaminate or affect any of the projects in the project warehouse. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, so like if I delete a step, right, I'm only deleting a step locally for myself. I'm not deleting a step for everybody that has that project assigned to them.
So I'm editing the sheet metal project that I took from the project warehouse, and it's going to edit just for me and my student, nobody else.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of, I just figured that was a fail safe.
Yeah, he's glitching out a little bit. So
a little bit of a fail safe.
I'll fill in the gap real quick. Yeah, like when I made a account today, I had a bunch of stuff and I was able to change and delete stuff, no problem at all. It's yours. And yeah, I had to create a new account as well. Yeah.
And so one of the things I'm looking to do, like I can get into Ron as an administrator, I can get into Ron's account right now and see the project that he was starting to show us. And if I'm like, oh, sweet, that's a cool project, and I want to do this without anyone's permission, but I can go ahead and post Ron's version of the drill press to the project warehouse. And until we get the affordability of like checking a box that says share, make public, just like a social media post, right? You can make it close friends, private, public. Eventually, I'll have it. So Onshape does something similar where it's like make project public. Eventually, I'll have that there. And we kind of do have that. It's just me behind the screen. Just say, hey, Mr. Barbercheck, make this public, and I will. And so that's where this the traction of this app is kind of tough to roll out because there's two types of users you're trying to get feedback loops from. It's not just like dog owners or like chefs. It's like, okay, you got students and teachers. And then there's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Well, for the platform to be optimized, it needs projects populated. But then at the same time, for projects to be populated, the platform needs to be optimized. So there's a little bit of a chicken and egg effect that I'm trying to balance out as well.
Okay. And just like Tim had a question, you guys could just jump in. It's no problem. Questions are good. Now, something that would pop in my brain if I were watching this and I had never used it before, the first thing that would pop in and go, that's cool. I don't have time for that. That's what happens inside my head.
Yep.
I would just think there's no way I have time for another platform. However, I will, to counteract that and just to show, not to sell or anything, but I did this in a, just like really quickly. To create a project, you just literally just click, go to projects. So for instance, let's say you got to create a project, right? Immediately, what is the project name? And give us like a photo that is like, the opener, right? You don't even need anything more than that. Then you're on step one. Step one, literally you could just put in one and then upload the photo. So it's literally like two things. Step one, just click something because it's required and then grab your photo. So for instance, let me just see if we could pull this off for a second. Yeah, this is going to work perfectly. Okay. So let's see. So this is what I did today. Let's go to share. And so I went ahead and I said, okay, project name. And I'll say, a drill press. But I already did that. But we'll just do drill press V3, right? And then choose a file. Okay, what I do is I have these made. You can make them on Google presentations, whatever. But I always go with analogies. So I just got the drill and the press equals drill press, literally, because they've never used the thing before. They don't even know what it is. Go to step one, choose a file. Boom, pull it up. Step one, I already had that made because we have these steps postered in a book that we keep by the drill press that we call drill press. And these are all the steps. But it would be nice if it was digital. So this is like my digital version. So I just photographed all that stuff and click OK. It pops up. I could take pictures if this were the app, right? But actually it enables my camera. So you could do that, but you'd have to move your laptop around. And this is a desktop computer. And then I got to add teacher approval. And how do I do the multiple choice test? Oh, add
right above it.
Right there.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah, let me just go bigger.
They're kind of different size buttons there. They should be a little more consistent, but
what does a drill press do? And then you just put in your stuff, make holes, cook. Maybe it cooks. It'll cook the bit. Maybe, I don't know. Whatever. Just none. Whatever. And so now, how do I? Once I'm done with that, just click away.
Yeah, you can just head on to step 2 and add steps.
Okay.
There at the
So the next thing you would do is go to add steps, and here's step 2. Just pops up. Same thing. You can write a description, whatever. But literally, it's just what step are you on, and what picture do you want now. The one thing I would say that we kind of ran into an issue was I thought it was self-saving, kind of, because I'm very spoiled. I use Google Docs, and it and also very nice feature of Onshape is self-saving, and most programs have self-saving now. Gone are the days of like I didn't save it. Oh my God. File, save as, get out of here. We don't do that anymore.
Right.
So you got to click add project, and that will insert a step title. Oh, now what if I want to get rid of step 2? Let me just get rid of that.
There you go.
Add project. Success. It's in.
There it is.
And there it is. Now there's version 3, and we can mess around, or you could delete it or whatever. So very quickly, I created this project, and I just uploaded the photos. Bam, 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 bam. I just literally, I couldn't even be bothered naming it. I just I put 8 because I was actually, the only thing is it's out of sync because some of the steps are like a part 2.
Okay.
That's the only issue, because you do self-name them. Like this is step 10 according to, your program, but for me that was 8.
Gotcha.
Because
So
I
you have like a
had
step 3A maybe, or a step 3B.
yes,
Okay.
there was step
Yep.
3A
There, I see it now. Yep.
and step 3 and step B. And then
Now-
I also had one of them where it just showed the parts of the clamp because they've never
Okay.
used a vice grip clamp that locks down your work
Yeah.
on the drill
Now
press.
you can. Does it change anything if you know that you can add up to 3 photos per step?
Yeah, I would probably put it in. Although I wanted it as, oh, you're right. Like this is not a step. This is just parts of the class. Okay, so I didn't use it properly. You're right.
Well, but this is good to know. Like, so you can add up to 3 photos per step, and I don't know. I didn't know if that would change that or not. But that's
Yeah, I didn't think about that. You're 100% right. It says add. Says max 3 images. Yeah, I should have just added the images to. I should have done 3. Well, if 3A and 3B were a step, I guess really 3B is 4. So
you could say that, or you could keep it as step 3, and then in the description there, where you get a little bit more text options, you can clarify 3A versus 3B in there as well.
But I do like that, even though. So just to end, to talk about how fast this happened. I do like that even though I didn't hit save project and I actually moved on. I think I clicked some other thing. I went over to like my projects or something, and it didn't save my work. I was able to very quickly recreate what I did.
Good.
And I got to tell you, that's one of the key things. Even in my side business, I have a website where I collect tickets for classes that I teach, intro to welding. And big change happened when I lowered the bar for entry as far as, like, if you look at Amazon, the less clicks, the better.
Yep.
The less steps. You can't ask, nobody really wants to get into a whole thing. They just want to click and go. So it's that fast, which is pretty interesting for something that, it was just an idea just a few years ago. And now it's like clicking away, Yeah. Okay, cool. So I think we've given like the overview. My student was able to use it. By the way, I had a student run that drill press project while I was chilling out, okay, doing something else, and they're able to run it. And I didn't know they were finished till I heard like running it and drilling it. And I was like, whoa, you're doing it? And he's like, yeah, I'm going. I'm like,
nice.
All right. I forgot to add the step that they asked me permission, but I was close by. So they were able to follow steps through your computer, through the program, and it worked. So that's kind of like my contribution, that you can be a beta tester and you're actually functioning in your classroom with getting stuff done.
I used it for cleanup protocols. And so, I just needed some feedback loops. I wasn't getting projects updated fast enough, and they're kind of detailed. And I do the same thing you do with the picture, like where it's just pictures. It's distributed to the students. You can add the text later, but for a lot of students, the pictures are enough. And they're okay receiving the rough draft because they're just happy to get moving faster, right? Instead of like, how many times do we kind of milk out the demonstration because we're trying to buy time sometimes. But when I did the cleanup, it was sweet because it wasn't just like, one thing I did was I made it teacher approval required before you grab the broom, because when you say cleanup, everyone just grabs a broom and kind of like leans on it, right? Kind of uses it. And I was like, no. In your zone, you have this, and this you do before you even touch the broom. And it was like you said, Ron, like I got goosebumps when it happened because like I've been spinning my wheels on this project for straight, like just as a side project, no experience in any of this. Like I've been figuring out as I go, many nights of doubts, but when I realized that my shop got clean and I didn't hear Mr. Barbercheck unnecessarily, I was like, holy crap, that was sweet.
That's cool,
And
man. It's a time saver.
yeah, so that's the value. Like I said, I'm at a point where I think for some of us, it offers just enough value to make it worth it. And I'll offer you this: if you're using this, and you tell me, as Matt Bloomquist already found out, and Ron's already found out, hey, I want this feature. Like, it's happening. And the way I see it is, whatever I'm doing here, like, it's going to exist someday by somebody. Autodesk is going to make it. Pearson's going to make it, and they're going to make a shittier version. It won't be as good as ours. And so I want to get ahead of that and be like, no, we're not going to let Autodesk make a shittier version of what we need. You know what I mean? It'll be a shittier version, then we'll probably be forced to use it. So, so I'm like, okay, autosave on the top of the list. Matt Bloomquist, he just made an audio file, and he said, hey, Barbercheck, I need, the project steps, you can duplicate the steps in case you kind of write out a template of a step and you just want to duplicate it. Maybe you're referencing the same picture throughout the whole workflow or procedure. And it was twinning. It was glitching out. He sent me that audio file. I got onto my project management board with my developers, and it was fixed that evening. Now, we won't always have that quick a response time, but like that's the value I would add. Like, hopefully you find value in it of itself. And my end goal is that at no cost, you know, at minimal cost to you, you get value out of this. But if you need something to push you over the edge, I'm your feedback form, and I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure your feedback's honored. It doesn't have to be that good. It can be the word salad audio recording. I know how to parse through that shit super well.
Yeah, I literally just started a document, and I took I just do the voice to text, voice to voice typing, and I just click on it because I just don't have time, you know. I just want to like nail it.
Yes.
So before we get to these, why don't we ask, kind of go around a little bit, you know, because I want it to be participatory, you know. Maybe how would they use it? You know, what some of the ideas they would use in their classroom. I wonder if, Gary, would you use this to get the kids to take a, you know, to change a tire on a big rig, or what? Like, how would you implement this if you were, and what do you got going right now? Like, what would you do, Gary?
Well, I could use a drill press right out of the gate. I've got that. Yeah, that's a good idea with jacking a vehicle properly and placing your stands, or, you know, removing a tire and wheel, balancing, all the steps involved with that. So different machinery, but yeah, I like the idea. All the steps of, you know, torquing a wheel and,
oh yeah, like the star pattern, and how do you read a torque wrench? They don't even, you know, maybe they don't even know what a torque wrench is, you know. I don't know where your kids are at.
Yeah, we have a Snap-on rep comes in with a torque meter, and we do a little. They brought it to me. I really hadn't thought about it, but that's a pretty interesting activity for students to see how smooth you have to be to get consistent torque. So I'll put a challenge out. Anybody that beats me gets pizza, and you know, occasionally I'll be beat, but the old man's pretty smooth sometimes too. So makes it fun anytime there's a competition. So
nice. Oh, I see. Because you go too fast, you don't get a good torque reading.
Yeah, he has a meter that measures the accuracy, and you have to be very slow and very consistent, you know, to get it right on the money.
I don't have a Snap-on dealer coming in, so what I do is I have them on purpose break a bolt, and I ask them, hey, how many turns until it's gonna break? You know, I have them turn it, you know, double lock it in the vise, two nuts. And then at the head of the bolt, and then I say, okay, it's snug now. You're at 12 o'clock. So you're at 12 o'clock. How long or how many turns until the whole thing just breaks off? And they're like, 57, 49. It's like 3/4 of a turn, and it's done.
Right.
You know, so they don't realize.
A plug for Harbor Freight. I was in their store here, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and they do have the torque meters in there for testing torque wrenches now, and it's pretty inexpensive to have that tool now where you could do that training with your students.
Oh, that's awesome. Are you serious? Because that's one of the biggest problems of running these engines is, you know, I do small engines, you do big engines, but I'm sure torque settings is like, oh my God, they rip out the threads, man. You know,
Right.
that's cool. Let's switch over to Noah. Noah's a new teacher, but I gotta tell you, man, he's like straight out of the gate, man. He's like a bat out of hell, dude. This guy's great.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing about this is like, for me, new into teaching and stuff, sometimes the struggle is you have students that excel really fast and you don't want to hold them back. But like, I'm cool with taking time to build something up so the student can really excel, because that's really what you want. You know, I have like 90 students, and then so like maybe like 10 of them spread out through the classes are really getting ahead and stuff like that. And you don't really have the time to be like, let's hold up the whole class so this one student can jump ahead. But this allows you to kind of manage the people that are, you know, just on average pace, but then the student that's really excelling, give them an opportunity to really excel.
I think
I
what
think
you're
it's really
talking about
cool.
is self-pacing.
Yeah.
And that's huge. I think it's been around for a while, but I think that feels like now more than ever, because if you got kids that are idle, this is like the worst thing you could do, especially if they're smart. If they're smart and you mix that in with a little bit of bad behavior, smart and bad behavior, they become the worst kid in the room. Smart and busy, best kid in the room, you know? And so self-pacing, hey, you want to go ahead? Go ahead. Do these 10 projects. I don't care. Done. Off and running. Now they're like a teacher's assistant within a month. Fantastic. Good point, Noah. That's awesome, man. Let's go back over to Gary. Gary's got his hand up like a student. That's amazing.
So I was just thinking of one. I do a drill and tap assignment. It's all on paper. Can you upload a file like that where they could print those directions to carry over to the vise with them, or and that would work very well. I have them lay it out on a piece of steel. You know, they have to be plus or minus of 1/8 of an inch, and they tap 3 different sizes, and then we put bolts in it with jam nuts to test the threads when they're done. But can I upload a file somewhere on there so they can print?
You could upload it, I guess, as an image, or you could like take your steps and you probably have to copy and paste. There would be a little bit of a migration process. We had file uploads on here for a little bit where you could upload like a PDF or your own project plans. And what we found was it sent the kids somewhere else. You know what I mean? And then they were just as like frustrated. Our students don't want to be digging too hard for information because they know it's accessible immediately. And so I guess it would be kind of like LinkedIn saying, hey, go to this Facebook post. I was like, no, if it's either the platform needs to be the solution or the platform doesn't need to exist. And if we find that out, that's whatever. But the ease of taking your, and I would do it for you. You just send me that. I'll put it on Cable Maker for you if you want, any of you. If you got something you want to try out, but you don't want to take the time to upload it, just let me know and I'll do that for you. You could, what I've done, and kind of like Ron was probably really close to doing it, is I'll type in the steps, and then if I have it on a PDF or whatever, I take a picture of the document. So like that sheet metal phone holder we were looking at, like the pictures that you were looking at, those were pictures of pictures that I just took with the platform.
I did.
Yeah, Ron, you could do it.
I didn't have access to the file. This sits next to the drill press. This is the drill press one.
Yeah.
And I didn't have access to the file. So I literally just took it out of the sheet, snagged the photo, and I did that. That took a little time, but once it was uploaded.
Yep.
Now, let me just push back a little against Gary just for a question. You said you use paper. You have a like a book or something that they use for this project?
No, it's just a couple page handout that has all the directions and what size that each hole has to be tapped to. And, you know, it's got a drill bit chart, what drill bit to use with which tap, and it shows a layout, just a little simple drawing. But the problem with, I'll print 50 of them for 25 kids and somehow we still run out and everybody loses their papers and
So
and
my question.
it's
Go ahead.
ongoing for a while. It's not like everybody's doing it at the same time. It's like for this grading period, this is one of the projects you have to do.
So I figured out how to. I solved that problem. Well, at least at my school, I did. You give them a folder for in class and just leave it in the classroom,
Right.
and just keep like a tray, like make a wooden tray or a plastic tray or something. Just have all the kids put their class folders in it, give them the papers, and then everything's in the same spot. They don't have to worry about bringing it, losing it, leaving it out. And if they leave it out, just throw it in the bin. And if they like, I can't find my paper, check the bin.
Well, we can't. I can see where they'd be on their phones with your app, being able to look at the drawing. We're not supposed to have our laptops out in the shop for reasons they're going to tear them up too.
Oh, I see. So that was my pushback question. I was going to ask is, couldn't they do it just digitally? Is there because I'm more digital than ever before. Like I really don't want paper. But however, I don't have trucks driving in and out of my shop. So that's why I'm asking, would you feel comfortable? Would you use a digital and say it's on your phone? And then they can just be like, okay, I see the drill tap size. Okay, cool. And then they just go do it. Is that something they would do, Gary? Or it would be better to have it on paper?
Well, they could for that. But even, like we do valve adjustments on some engines, we have two little stationary, little 4 cylinders, but one's a Cat, one's a Cummins. They both have different procedures for finding top dead center and the procedure to do it. So I've always got copies of those that they take out rather than trying to look at a computer screen that you're not supposed to have out in the lab anyway, or on a phone makes it a little difficult for some of those procedures.
Well, that's a good point.
I'm always going to print something, but I agree. Cut down on it.
I'll quickly acknowledge that paper has a place. And in fact, like what you guys are looking at right now is like 10% of the features that we've laid out the groundwork for. And as you saw, some of those still have glitches, but like one of the features we have is generate PDF, because I recognize I'll be the first to acknowledge sometimes paper has a place. Sometimes maybe you got a group that's just too tech distractible. Maybe sometimes kids want a little break from their phones. Sometimes the documentation's just better on paper. So a feature, if I get enough feedback that supports this idea, I'll prioritize it, but otherwise I'm going to prioritize some of the other things. But something, if I get pie in the sky operational, it'll be generate a PDF of the drill press. And so you'll always have the option of kind of getting the paper printed out and even saying this is a teacher approval step on the paper. And so because I know each classroom is so different, I want to honor that as much as possible. Now, the one advantage I'll say, even though paper does have its place, my issue with paper is it's right after I run the 50 copies that I realize there's a glaring error or a step that I just completely missed because I was too busy in like proficiency mode, not complete novice mode. So I just overlooked something simple. And then I have to go back and re-edit them or throw those away or update them. What I've liked about this so far is I realize, I wrote that cleanup protocol horribly. Boom, 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 updated automatically. No old stack versus new stack versus whatever copier phenomenon I'm going through.
Now, I agree with the paper has a place because we've got our new CNC machine. We're all learning how to use it. And the current piece that's in there, that's in the vise, is in the middle of an operation. And so what I did was I quickly printed out, what they were doing, which is real simple, just some measurements. It's not, the title box is not even filled out. And I just said, because I will forget what the kids are doing. And the kid will forget what the kid is doing. And so we're just so busy. So I say, I'm going to print it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to put it right in there. That's it. That's the current operation. Please don't touch the vise until we finish that type of thing, So I totally get the paper thing. So it'd be nice feature if you're on a step to say, print this step. And it goes to your remote printer. So you can
Yeah.
print on demand. I don't know if that's a possibility.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off a couple things you said. I think it is a potential functionality, and it's good to hear it. There's hundreds of ideas that I have with this, and I've distilled it. It's been a distillation process just to get it to here mainly. But like, I forget what students are doing too, because I get the melting pot effect. I think we all do. To Noah's point, you got students that you hate holding back, so you kind of try and let them move forward. But then I've found myself where I look across the room and I said, holy shit, how did I let this window get so big from like birdhouse project to like rocking chair project? And then for me to remember what everyone's doing and where they're at, and then address them at the skill level and the tone that they need to be addressed at, I'm just like, so when kids ask me questions, I like a lot of times, even if I don't need capable, I know that they don't need capable maker. I say pull up capable maker, because when I see step 7 and I see the picture that I uploaded with step 7, well, now my brain's automatically where they need to be. I'm not trying to extract that information from the students. I'm not trying to look at their project and see what steps they skipped, because it's like, oh, I didn't look. Yeah, they chamfered the front, but they didn't chamfer the back. And I overlooked that because as I was looking at it, somebody else was yelling up for a drill press approval. You know what I mean? Like, so I've got it in front of me now. And then having the pictures right there, whether it would be a paper or digital, and say, no, that's the difference between a clearance hole and a pilot hole, instead of like trying to show them real quick while you know what I mean? But it's like, nope, right there, that's the difference. It's like having an assistant run around and just pull up the visual aids I need right when I need them. And that's been super beneficial. I have found, and like really a goal I'm looking to solidify with Capable Maker.
That's cool. Yeah, that's good. Let's see. Anybody else? Damien. Now, Damien, it doesn't. He's not a like a public school shop teacher, but in a way he's a teacher, because he's helping people through the 3D printing world and now the laser world. And we've been doing some laser stuff here too. Do you see a place somewhere in this? What do you think you would use it for? What do you think, Damien?
Yeah, definitely. So I get a chance to speak with educators pretty much every day. I'm on the other side of the spectrum, so I'm the guy that's knowing you to buy what I'm representing. But one big challenge I see on a ed tech side of things is, how do I ensure that the teacher is using the tool properly with their students, and how are they relaying that information to their students? So whether it's 3D printing, CNC, or laser cut, I could definitely see a Capable Maker just helping teachers make sure that kids know how to use that new piece of technology, especially with something that can be so cumbersome like a 3D printer or laser cutter. So this is pretty neat. I'm definitely excited to have jumped on and like listen to the process here. It almost reminds me a little bit about, and Ron, I'm not sure if you still do this, but years ago you had QR codes on certain tools throughout the shop where your students would scan it. Are they still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go to videos on how to use the project or workstation.
So I wonder if those QR codes could be connected to Capable Maker, so that students that want to learn to drill press, they could scan it and it takes them right in there, and bam, they have all the information right in front of them. So
almost
super
like
cool.
Yeah. Almost like a self-guided tour. You can just walk through the shop and just learn every tool in the shop just by clicking on it. Now you got all your steps, not just a video.
Yeah, exactly, which sounds really cool. And with the technology I work with, it makes sense too. There's definitely a little bit more steps in regards to the prerequisites with 3D printing, of course. You have to know 3D modeling of some sort, but using the tool itself, leveling the bed, loading the filament, checking the first layer, that could all be incorporated into this app. So this is great.
You know, I just want to riff off of something you said, Damien, that I think maybe this could be an advanced feature down the line for Barbercheck Capable Maker. Damien said, you know, you're helping teachers, you're talking with educators because you're in the sales of the tech tools they buy. Okay. But the only data that you're getting is when the teacher complains about something. Am I right?
Pretty much, yeah. So with my role, once the tool is purchased, it goes to either, if the company has a customer success manager, it goes to them. It goes to maybe the support team, or you're relying on marketing to get you the right details, you the educator, the right details to help you out. So yeah, you're right.
So basically, you got those machines, once they're bought, they probably go into two categories, three categories: success, and you don't hear about it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Complaints, and you hear about it verbally, but there's no actual data. It's just complaints. And then dust, just sits there collecting dust, right? So it just fits in these three categories. But now imagine if you had data on the steps that were the biggest bottleneck. If you had that data, that could go back to the sales team, which they could address it with training, or it goes back to the product design team and they can address it with an adjustment to the machine. The reason I thought of this is because recently Tesla talked about their data. They're collecting data. So they put sunroof in the Model 3s. Guess what? Nobody really uses the sunroof. Now, how do they know this? How do they know this? Because they know anonymously whether you use the sunroof or not. And it turns out that a very low percentage of people are using the sunroof. So that's it. They're taking it out. They're not going to spend the money on the tools and equipment it takes to put a sunroof in a car. They're just like, forget it. You're not going to use it. We're not doing it, right? Now, another way they use data is they actually have crash data. So not just the required crash data from the the United States National Safety whatever. They actually have all the data from the cars. So they hit the requirement for the country, but they also look at their data and they say, actually, frontal crashes is a higher percentage than rear. Okay, beef up the front, right? So now they get data, but we don't have data on if someone buys a 3D printer from you. We don't have any data on whether they're using it, what steps they're using, how they use it. It's interesting, right? And then if Capable Maker had all this stuff, you could actually have like let's say on step out of 10 steps on step 5, there could be a flag like don't understand, or this is the one that the teacher had to, I don't know how, there's no like flag on like, oh, help button. If there was a help button or don't understand button on step 5, Capable Maker would have the data on what was the highest, like a heat map on the highest step, although that would have to be standardized in some way. Anyway, you get the idea where I'm kind of going. That would be an advanced feature, but that would be interesting, right? Instead, rather than anecdotal. Yeah, that'd be cool. What would you do with that data, Damien, if you knew where everybody was getting bottleneck?
So from my side of things, there are certain bigger companies in the 3D printing and laser cutting space. If some of you might already have these tools in your classes that are already collecting data on your usage.
Oh.
So some 3D printers are calculating. Ron is running his 3D printer 20 hours a week using 1,000 meters of filament a week. They are already tracking that, believe it or not. Some laser cutters are tracking. Barbercheck started a engraving job on stainless steel, and it took 11 minutes to engrave an area of this size. So a lot of your machines that are networked are already collecting a lot of this data. Without going too deep into it, certain states that I work with, for example, Illinois, they have very strict child online privacy protection laws that sometimes they can't buy certain products from these industries because these companies are collecting that much data. We don't know if someone from Memorial High School logs on to the printer. We don't know if it's a student, a minor, or an adult. So data is very weird, and we could definitely talk for days on this. But yeah, you'd be surprised how many of your tools are already collecting this information. And sometimes you may get a marketing email that's like, hey, I was just wondering about that the other day. Well, there you have it. There's a reason why.
Interesting. Very interesting. Wow. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, they're listening.
They're definitely listening. Yeah. In a way. Yeah. Yeah,
Let's go to
just
Peter.
go to. I'll leave one thing on that. Go to any of these companies that you may already have. Look on their job board. See if they're hiring anything that has to do with data analysts, data scientists. They're the ones that are looking at how often you're using your printer, your CNC, your laser, or whatever.
Got it.
Nice.
Now let's go over to Peter. Peter's always insightful. Peter's not a public school shop teacher, but he does do a lot of this stuff, and he's in the space. Peter, how would you implement this? What do you think?
It's an interesting idea to use in the way you're proposing it with the teacher approval, so you get to know how the student's advancing on each project, and it's useful to include, your photos and your descriptions and breakout steps and things they can do. Project, okay, that portion's complete. Next portion, moving on, and it makes it easy to modify. A lot of your GIFs or your pictures, if you use PowerPoint, you can export the slide as a GIF, or use the slide as part of your included in your capable maker. That would be a quick way to, bring on images to your capable maker section. Oh, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. That is helpful. And you're right. Because it's like the YouTube thumbnail that Noah's been working on, right? You got to get some text on the image sometimes. And again, pie in the sky, that would be native to the platform. So you're not hopping back and forth, but small stepping stones, right? And I've actually done a little bit of what you're talking about. Now the GIF feature, we haven't riffed on that too much. I just uploaded, you can upload just a GIF file, but I have found GIFs to be awesome when you get into righty-tighty, lefty-loosey style operations. And even that one we were watching with me putting my safety glasses on, I swear I saw kids put on safety glasses in that same way, because, they say a picture speaks 1,000 words. But those GIFs, I just spoke about that. And all of you, I think, probably have a mental image of me putting on those because it's so repetitive, it's looped, and you're forced to see the repetition. I watched compliance go up. Now, we are close on this one. I feel like I'm teasing you guys with all these behind the scenes features. But just like you could take a picture through the platform, we really want to get to a point where you could take a GIF through the platform. No create a GIF app, you know what I mean? What's stopping us right now is we can't get the camera to flip. So right now when we do it, I could unlock it for one of you guys if you want to play around with it, but it's the front facing camera. So you're trying to show a screw being driven or whatever, and you gotta do this, it's really awkward. It's a very simple thing, but it's not simple of getting the developers are working hard. I cannot pick on them at all, but getting them to get a flip GIF thing to happen. But yeah, one of my buddies is you've basically memeified instructions. Instructions are just memes now. And I was yeah, and that's kind of a language our students use. So
cool. Let's jump over to Duke.
Hey, yeah, Ron, talking about the drill press. We've all used the drill press for different applications. Now, Gary needs precise holes. My kids are making Swiss cheese. They're in middle school. It's the first time they used it. But the technology on the drill press hasn't changed. We probably have drill presses in our shops that might be 40, 50 years old. But the way we teach how to use the drill press, can vary between teacher to teacher. So for me, I would say, well, let me check out how Ron teaches the drill press. Even though he uses it for different applications, maybe I'll get some ideas from him when I teach the drill press. Because you go to a conference, you're not getting a conference on a drill press, how to teach the drill press. You've been teaching the drill press the same way for however long you've been teaching, whatever works for you and the kids, because it works. But it may give you some other ideas how other teachers teach the drill press.
Dude, that's a
Well,
great
any
idea.
other tool.
I would love to see that. Is it Barbercheck? Is it shareable? Are these things shareable in the future or currently? So let's say I come up with a project and I find it to be successful. Maybe I could flip a switch and say, yeah, I'm willing to share this one. Like, because you might not want to share it because you're not proud of it, or you don't think it's a good idea. You don't want to spread bad ideas, like the kids aren't getting it or whatever. But if I'm like, if something's real successful and there's I'm not building a business out of it, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just share it with the rest of the shop teachers. Can I click share?
Yeah. So like, short answer to your question, at this point in time, no. Well, unless you just contact me, I'm the share button. So I'll post it as an admin, and then everyone has access to it in the project warehouse. The developers and I have been in conversation about this, and I'm not sure if we'll get it on this financial sprint or not. And then this is the other thing, is we're constantly trying to get renewed for funding. So it's always triage. And that's why I'm so thankful for you guys taking the time to like listen and play with it, because it's really tough for me to consistently accurately pick the most important features in a triage manner. But I digress. I want that, like, in my head, there's a future end user who doesn't even use this with students. They just use it to shop for projects and get exactly what you're talking about, Duke. It's an inspiration station. It's, how does Ron teach the drill press? How does Tim teach the drill press? Ooh, I like the pull the trigger approval. I never thought about that wording. That's perfect. You know what I mean? And like, just like we get on Instructables sometimes, or we've done on here where we Google woodworking projects, there's an end user in the future who doesn't even use the student interaction component, and that's fine. But it's a wealth of useful information curated for their classroom, where they can get just what you're talking about.
That's cool. And like, the thing also about it is that it's nice to see how people operate their shops. Rather than you could buy a book, or you could learn, someone could say, oh, this is how you do it, whatever. But it's cool to see it, because then you could see, like, maybe you could see some of the data, see how their students interact with it. Do they run through it quickly, or does it take time? What's the biggest emphasis step? Where does the teacher put the approval point, the trigger point, stuff like that? That would be real cool to see. And also just talking about stuff like this could be linked to a genre. So I was talking about, I guess we were talking about the drill press, but then Gary said, oh, well, also we do the torque. And I was like, oh, I do the torque like this. And he's like, yeah, but you could use a measuring tool. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could have a measuring tool for the torque wrench that they sell, and it's a reasonable price thing. So you learn so much just by sharing. That's the best part about the Shop Class Podcast, and I guess Capable Maker is a platform for teachers by teachers. So it's kind of like that's the thing right there. Let's go over to Corey. Corey's in the house. Corey, I'm so sorry. Where are you from?
I'm from Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada.
Oh, nice.
Me and Lance were on, I think in the summer. I've been MIA for quite a while here, so
right. Okay.
glad to be back on. Yeah, I think this app has a lot of benefits. I just resorted to I've got steps to completion in Word docs, and I've got 2 shop TVs right now, and I've got the kids going through that, and I make little side notes of see instructor for demonstration and whatnot. And with all the steps there, sometimes they go through that and don't ask me. So I think having that that lock feature for the next step until I talk to them, show them how to demo, say, the router table or something like that. I think that's beneficial. And then I'm even thinking with Damien talking about the CNCs and stuff, I've got a 4x4 CNC that I'm just, I think, a year into right now. So I'm learning the software, and I'm at a point where I want to teach the kids, but it's hard to be on a computer one-on-one with a student and still trying to run 28 other kids in the shop. So even doing how to set up Vectric V-Carve very simply for them so they can get started, I think this would be an awesome resource to have and to use.
It's funny. Basically, this year more than ever, I'm trying to move faster and be less, like you said, like, oh, I'm focused on this one thing. But then, oh, there's 20 kids, and then you sort of stress out. I don't have time for that anymore. It's not fun and it's too much. But I do want to move forward, and I want to focus on things, but also let the broader move forward. So self-pacing is really where it's at. Capable Maker is in development. So what I did as a solution is I'll teach a kid, and then I'll have that kid teach 5 other kids. And not just once. I've been doing that more than ever before. I have kids go to other parts of the room and teach the laser. I didn't even learn how to use the laser yet. I don't have time. I just don't have the time. So I just let them go. I go, oh, you know how to use the laser software? Okay, you need a part cut? Okay, go with them. You come over here. I'm just an air traffic controller now. That's all I'm doing. And so what this would do, but okay, the problem with my model is that these kids are going to graduate. So I'm screwed, So I have to teach the next kids, but that's hard to keep up with. We're on this like water wheel thing. It's just moving, So, but if every year my Capable Maker projects get more robust because there's a complaint button on one of the steps, hey, or help, or I know where the bottleneck is. If I could keep on making the bottlenecks, get rid of the bottlenecks and open them up, then every single year my stuff gets better. And then if a kid does have a problem, then I'm like, maybe there's something more to it than just they're not reading the steps. And, like even the simplest thing, sometimes I find out that they're not reading the steps. Literally, they just don't want to read. And that's not that they can't. They're just like, I don't read it anymore. Video. So now we got to go to video, or we got to go to GIFs, which seems like an interesting idea. I haven't messed with that. So this is an interesting thing to have because I think that all of us do solve this, but now you have this would be like the software version of what I've been doing, Let's see. Who else is in there? Let's see. We got Peter, Gary Quirrell. Okay. We got Mark Willie's in the house. Mark Willie, come on. Mark Willie's all around. It's like WWF meets thermal brakes. He'll come in there. Let's get a thermal brake going. What would you use this for, Mark? Are you there?
Typing while I eat and wrap a call, brother. That's what he said.
Oh, got it. No problem. This guy's running, he's kind of like air traffic controller for his life, man. He's busy.
I got something else to add for this Capable Maker too. I remember talking, I think it was in June or July, you were kind of pitching the idea there, Matthew, and I was getting my head wrapped around trying to convert my steps to completion that I had taken from written with AutoCAD drawings to now a Word doc. And maybe this might be, now thinking of it, might be more useful even for specific machines, kind of like what you were talking about with the drill press. I've just got a whole bunch of new equipment in the shop. So I've got some track saws and different things. And instead of me spending so many times a class or a week, because I kind of like you, Ron, I try and have a lot of peer teaching, but if you get a class where, you might not be able to trust a lot of people, or if there's not kids at that level, it's hard to say, oh, go show this person how to use the router table, and fingers are flying off. So to have these little, I guess, modules for a track saw, a router table, and it walks them through it, and then the teacher approval could come from, after you tighten the bit in the router table, teacher approval, come have the teacher check it, and almost do that for machines, and then maybe kind of graduate to the projects, because I've kind of got a nice system right now. But I think the machine base could be huge, even because I teach grade 9 to 12, grade 9 separately, and then my 10, 20, 30 classes are all mixed. So I've got 3 different levels, kids that have been on equipment for years, kids that have never touched anything. So I think the machine based stuff could be a real benefit, and then even collaborating and seeing how Duke runs something, or another Noah or whatever, and then kind of collaborate that way, and maybe kind of tailor it to your liking.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you had.
Well, I'm just saying, like, when I started this, it was like, for projects. Like I was just frustrated with the woodworking magazine project just not hitting the right spot. But what I've come to realize is it's really for any workflow, like any, whether it's a cleanup protocol, whether it's a machine safety workflow or project. And as of right now, I got more hours on it as a safety and cleanup protocol than for projects. So it's kind of for any workflow. And like I works in manufacturing. Like when I showed him one of my better projects I made on here, he's like,
Good, Gary.
he was like, what do I got to
Good,
do to
sorry.
use this? What needs to happen to get this working? I'm going to use this. I'll use this in the shop this week. I got people on the floor that need to pack products correctly. You know, he was like, so yeah, I like that might be how we get traction is just focus on machine safety starting out and then move into projects or whatever else or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm open to it kind of landing where it needs to land.
Okay, now we kind of went around and anyone's allowed to just jump in and add more stuff. But as we probably got about 10 minutes left as we wrap up, I just wanted to go to the feedback loop. You know, my student actually, he's pretty responsible. I asked him to write a feedback, and he wrote like a summary. He's like, here's my overall opinion. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
like
I thought it was you, Ron, and then I saw student opinion, and I was like, whew. Oh.
I have no time for me. I don't even know how I got to work today. It's like unbelievable. So what he wrote here is it's an excellent idea, you know, blah, blah, blah. But the main thing is I highlighted here. It says a student can simply click through the steps and be done with the assignment. That's what Noah said about self-pacing. Or wait, sorry, it was Noah. Somebody talked about self-pacing and a lot of kids going ahead, and then you still got these other kids. And then what I would like to see in this student also is picture confirmation. This is I'm not sure if that's in the cards, but you know, the way I check assignments is picture confirmation or video confirmation. I do not have time to walk around and go over to little Johnny and be like, hey, can I see your work? And the kid's like, you know, he's got his phone. Seriously, right now, you know, like, dude, nobody's got time for any of that. I just want it all digital. Did you do it? No, yes. We're moving forward. Nobody's got time to go around and check if everybody's shoes are tied. This is not a thing, you know? So, yeah, I wonder if is picture confirmation an advanced feature, or like, how does that play into this?
We have the framework built, and I'm going to turn it on for you, Ron.
What?
And I don't know what'll happen, if it'll work or not, but I alluded to earlier, I said you're looking at 10% of the features. I'm pretty passionate about not giving you guys headaches as much as I can. And some of these features are still in headache phase. But that's one of the reasons I wanted to have this call, talk to some of you guys, is I can start even A/B testing different features and prioritizing different features. But I'm going to go and turn this on for Ron.
Cool.
And so he'll be able to have the students upload images. I've played with it once with a student, but like you, Ron, I got distracted, or I was like very, it bugged out, glitched out, and then we moved on, and I haven't revisited it since. But like the generate PDF feature, I can turn that on just for Gary or for everybody. But until I get these working well, I won't turn them on for everybody, because I really don't want to burden you with, you know, something that that's not working well. But if you're up for it and you're willing to test, and you in exchange for having more input in the direction that this goes, then yeah, I'll unlock every feature if you're passionate about quality assurance of ed tech products or something. Then.
So now where do I put that? So I'm in edit my drill press.
Okay, so let's see. Now that I've turned it on, and I know we're coming near the end of our time here,
we don't have to dial in on one feature that's like a super beta feature, or what do they call it?
Yeah.
Alpha feature. That's okay. I just think it's amazing that we can like talk to the creator, and you're like, "Yeah, I'll just turn that on." That's amazing. That's so awesome. What happened to? We were just a bunch of shop teachers, man. This is awesome. Now we're like content creators and also coming out with software. This is amazing. Cool. And Damien gave us like a clap. Thank you.
Nice. I was wondering what that was. That's that emoji. I'll have to integrate that into Capable Maker.
Yeah, man, we need emojis. The kid asked for the emojis, man.
Yeah.
All right, so what would I do now? I'm in my steps.
Okay, so you would want to be in the student view. Let's see here. I wonder if it'll let me now that because I'm in your class still.
Okay.
Refresh it. You might have to reassign me a project. Try reassigning me a project real quick.
Okay. And if it's too early, it's just more conversational, but we could try it.
Yeah.
So I go to my projects. I'll grab the original drill press thing, not the original, but the one I uploaded. And how do I assign again? I forgot.
You got to be back on the project page. I want a link on that page. It's on the list. But if you go back to go to my projects.
My projects.
The 3-person icon in the bottom right-hand corner.
Okay. All right. And shop class, assign project.
Yeah. And it was working. One of my students was playing around with the camera feature, but it was, it's not popping up for me right now. I'll make a little, if I can get one working, I'll make a short clip for it. I'll send it out to you guys.
Because what I would like to see, even for instance, the simplest thing, just like the drawing, right? Like, let's say they say, "Hey, I'm going to use the CNC mill machine." I'm like, "Yeah, what are you going to make?" They're like, "Oh, I'm not sure." Nope. You're not using that machine unless you got a drawing. I want to see what you're making. Now let me see the material. So I want to see these things, but I don't always have time. So if they could just send me the thing and I see a photo and I know who they are, bam, approved. Go ahead. Use the machine. Go to the next step.
So what's beautiful about this is now I know to move that up the priority list, because I could show you my priority list and it's like 60 items and I have a calculator to calculate what's higher priority, and it's nuts. I got variables and it's project management 101-ish. So whatever, I don't know. I'm not experienced in that either. I've been making that up as I go, but this is so much more motivating because like, Ron, I love you, man. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna move this up the priority list for Ron. It's just more personal, and it's just more efficient than trying to make up a bunch of numbers as to like what something is, especially when like I get lost in the weeds. So so that's what I'm like. I want you guys to feel comfortable. I'm doubling down on this as a way to like let you guys know, like, no, I want to add that personal touch element. If you're taking the time and the risk to play around with this, then I want to prioritize your preferences as much as I can afford to.
It's awesome. This is so exciting. One more just simple feedback that I got to say is the photos are kind of small. Is that something that I did wrong?
Nope. That's beautiful feedback too. Something else that Bloomquist showed me. So I already, you know how on Amazon you got the hover over, plus you just click image and it just blows up.
Okay.
I already told the developers make it the same as like Amazon's, where for both the student view and the teacher view.
Okay. Yeah, because they're real small, and if we put details in there, but that doesn't seem like something that's impossible. It's just it's like you said, you got to hear it, and once you hear it, then it's like boom. Because some people want these little tiny icons, but some people, like right now, I have you guys. You're all in a grid, and it's small, but I don't need big because I'm not looking at something. I need this bigger, the Capable Maker, because I'm looking at the details. Let me just see if I had any other quick things. But I mean, this is pretty good. Oh, the emojis, that was funny. Like, can't you put a glove in there or something? Photos, camera. Yeah. Yeah, we're good for tonight. I mean, this is pretty good. Let's just do one thing at a time. So, all right, well, let's wrap it up because it's kind of late, and I'm at the school. I actually got to get out of here before they put the alarm on, you know. So I'm part of the furniture over here.
I just got to
very
thank
cool.
everybody for taking the time, listening, and Ron, thank you for entertaining me with this and helping me share this and get it out there. And I'll probably throw maybe like a very rough email, as new things come out. That way, if your version got a little further along than where we're at now, and that's fine. I'll at least try to do my best. I can track down, I think, most emails that are on this call. If not, just put it in the chat, and I'll just is updated on its development, and maybe ask what would be more important to you.
Your internet's glitching out a little bit, but I'll throw in some blanks. This is possible because of Barbercheck's efforts. So I really appreciate what you've done, Barbercheck. And then also funding and support has come from Harbor Freight Tools for Schools. So, it's funny because, it's like you go to Harbor Freight and you're like, man, they're everywhere, I mean, they give back so much, millions, like 1.5 million to spread among 25 teachers coming up this year in awards, and then also in the past. And then they also continually support these teachers. So it's not like, just a one little award, so it's a pretty interesting thing going on. Very cool. So Barbercheck, good job, man. It's awesome. You've come a long way, dude. Like, your project is very cool. And also, I want to thank everybody for jumping on here. We have so many people here tonight. What a cool thing, Take note, Barbercheck. This is a popular night, so you must be doing something right, man.
You and me both, buddy.
All right. Cool. Anybody want to add anything else? Otherwise, we'll end the recording. We always hang out for a little bit. I got about 15 minutes, and then I gotta. Otherwise, they're gonna think I'm staying here tonight. So if we're good. Thanks for coming in. Shop Class Podcast. We'll get the next guest going for next week, and let me end the recording right here. Capable Maker. That was awesome.